Hey guys, welcome back to Back Pocket Game Reviews. It's been a really long time since I have recorded a phone upload for some news, but I'm about to have to go to work, so I'm not going to have time to record this on my full setup. But some news broke yesterday, and we'll go ahead and call it news at this point, more so than a rumor, because IGN, Kotaku, everyone is talking about it at this point. Supposedly, Microsoft might be purchasing EA, Valve, or Bluehole. Yeah, so those are some pretty big names to toss around. Well, at least two of the three I feel are huge names. We're going to kind of talk about the values and why I think Microsoft would go with one over the other from a personal aspect. I wouldn't be too shocked if they went with Bluehole just simply to keep PUBG as an exclusive, but I still think it would be the worst money spent. Valve is valued at $1.5 billion, EA is valued at $3.8 billion, and Bluehole is valued at $4.6 billion. So you're looking at $4.6 billion, essentially, just for PUBG. Whereas you look at Valve, and that's $1.5 billion. Now, Valve's franchises haven't really been at the forefront recently. Valve isn't much of a game designer anymore, so a lot of those IPs are probably undervalued on that $1.5 billion worth. And keep in mind, these values aren't necessarily what Microsoft would pay to obtain one of these. They're just what industry evaluators essentially have them valued at. This is a rough estimate. If Valve is the one you can pick up the cheapest, though, personally I think Valve would be the wisest way to go, especially for a company like Microsoft, who is putting a huge priority on PC gaming and on their console. So you've got, games. Counter-Strike Go that's an older game at this point. So there's a good chance they don't have Counter-Strike in development. Obviously, we know there's no Half-Life 3 currently in development. We've heard nothing about a Portal being in development, and Left 4 Dead has pretty much stagnated. So there's a lot of IPs there that they own the rights to that they've essentially just let stagnate, which means Microsoft could pick up a lot of IPs on a relatively cheap basis. Obviously, Dota would be a huge win for PC, and in Microsoft's hands, I'm sure they would do a lot with it. Owning Steam would be a huge win again for Microsoft, unless they only plan on buying Valve's rights to their games. But I would assume they would, at $1.5 billion, just buy Valve as a whole, because Microsoft has about $130 billion in available income right now, to where they could just pick up whoever they wanted. Now, that's a lot of money to have available to you. But I personally think Valve would be the most valuable, because if you did want to make Half-Life 3, you instantly have the best-selling game on your hands without having to do much work. But it's also a bunch of games you're going to have to start from scratch, not really start helping Microsoft's issue that they're currently trying to solve of having too few exclusives on Xbox. So there's nothing currently in development there that's really going to solve that. But that's also another reason why I'm saying if they pick up Bluehole, it currently is exclusive to Microsoft's platforms with Windows and Xbox. And it's already there. You're just paying $4.6 billion to keep it off of PlayStation at that point. And that's to even say that they make it an exclusive. Because, look at Minecraft. They still pop out Minecraft everywhere else. They just try to make sure crossplay is a thing on it. Microsoft bought Minecraft several years ago. I want to say they paid like $3.6 billion or $6.3 billion. 6 and 3, I believe, were in those numbers. That's not something I wrote down because it was not really super relevant to this conversation. But EA is the one I find the hardest to really believe anyone would go after, specifically like a Microsoft. While as their stock is decently well traded, it does make them a profit every year. There are upsides to EA, but there's just too many downsides. Majority of the games you'd be buying EA for aren't something you're going to make single platform. Madden's not going to sell overwhelmingly well, being only on one console, but if you did pick up Madden, say you flip the switch on that to only be on Xbox, NFL's probably going to pull the rights to the marketing. Either that or now you have the biggest exclusive, but Microsoft has never been one for yearly releases. The closest thing that Microsoft has to a yearly release is Forza, and even Forza rotates between two different types of Forza games, between the mainline Forza series and between Forza Horizon, which is their open world series. So even that's technically not a straight up every year franchise. But EA is also not exactly in the best standing game developer wise. You can look at all the issues they had with Battlefront 2, and then you can look at all of the rumored issues they're currently having with Anthem. Apparently Anthem is not exactly in the best way, and you're essentially paying to get BioWare back after you sold BioWare to EA, which is also really confusing to me. Why would you have ever sold BioWare to begin with? You would have been smart to hang on to that one, Microsoft. And we probably would have never had Mass Effect Andromeda had you of. But it is what it is. I don't foresee them buying EA. That would bring Titanfall possibly back as an exclusive. You could bring back, you could make Battlefield an exclusive. It's really hard to say what they're going to do, especially since I'm not necessarily anyone with any kind of inside information or any knowledge of where they would go business-wise. But personally, to me, I think Valve makes the most sense, especially if you're able to pick them up under $2 billion with the IPs that they currently carry. And I mean, Portal 3 would be a huge seller. Half-Life obviously is going to be one of the biggest sellers if you're willing to make the third one. And part of the reason why this rumor also has like legs to stand on is last night Microsoft bought PlayFab, which is a cloud gaming platform. They did it to essentially solve a few issues with the Azure platform, which is a cloud gaming platform that Microsoft already owns, and to kind of give it a little extra oomph behind it. So Microsoft is kind of known to, oh, we have a problem that we don't know how to fix just yet. Let's just buy another company and fix it outright. So that's not uncommon for Microsoft. That's why this wouldn't shock me if it were true that they're planning on buying one of these three. And those are the three companies that have been tossed around by everyone. And supposedly this has been leaked by an industry insider. But it is believable if you say Microsoft is going to buy someone to solve a problem. And last up, Phil Spencer also stated last night, that Xbox One, so it's an original Xbox backwards compatibility, they still have more games coming. It just takes them longer to secure the rights. It is a more drawn out process to get the rights for original Xbox games, which a lot of people might be like, why would it take longer? Well, it's because a lot of those franchises are older games, and mergers and stuff like that have kind of made securing the rights to either the music or from the publisher themselves a lot harder, especially when you look at games like Stubbs the Zombie, whereas I don't believe their developers even around anymore. So stuff where it's either mergers have kind of diluted down who owns the actual rights to the game, or whether it just be that the company is not around anymore, or the music or certain parts of it, whether it be a licensed title, the rights might not still actually be there, which is what's causing them a little more of a time delay. And they said it will take longer for them to secure these games versus the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, which again makes sense because the 360 backwards compatibility was just last generation. It's a lot of those companies are still around. A lot of the mergers had already happened. And I mean, we don't go too long without at least 5 or 6 games coming over from Xbox 360 onto the Xbox One. I mean, right now, there's a whole slew of games. I honestly can't really think of too many more that they should add at this point, but good job, Microsoft. Keep adding more to that. But yeah, that was just the news that I felt was I had to record it from my phone because I really wanted to talk about this and I wanted to weigh in with my opinion. And again, I think Valve is just the more worth it option, especially when it's what you're getting bang for your buck wise. I mean, Steam and a lot of that stuff would really help bolster Windows. And I'll say this could be the chance for Microsoft to actually fix Mixer, because if you built Mixer streaming into Steam without ruining Steam, and please don't turn Steam into the Windows store, leave Steam as is, don't ruin it. But if you built actual Mixer streaming into Steam, like directly in, like they do with the Xbox One functions, you could probably get Mixer off the ground. Not to say Mixer isn't alright, but it's against two juggernauts in YouTube and Twitch, which already have huge followings, and Mixer doesn't really have that following or anything to really incentivize you to use Mixer over either of those two options currently. And I'm not saying that's necessarily going to get a lot of PC gamers to switch over, but there are some that aren't typically going to want to necessarily have to deal with all this stuff. So if you make it as simple as possible to use Mixer, you could win some people over to it that way. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Which of the three companies do you think it makes most sense or would be the best option for Microsoft to buy? Personally, again, it's Valve for me. I think that would be the smartest way for them to go and for them to get the most IPs for the least amount of money, but it's not fixing their immediate problem with there not being any games probably really in development currently over at Valve. Valve has not put a lot of focus on game development. That's not their main thing anymore. They focus mostly on the Steam store. And what games would you like to see come to Xbox backwards compatibility, the original Xbox? Obviously, you already know that I say I would like to see Stubbs the Zombie, but I'm sure I will eventually get that, seeing as it was an Xbox exclusive, and that's probably high on their priority list of games to secure the rights for. And if they do, I will gladly stream that for you all on Twitch. So, guys, let me know what you think, though, as I said, down in the comments down below. Also, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a thumbs up. Those thumbs up help us gain more traction to the videos and grow the community. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'll have plenty more content coming for you, and I'll see you soon.